So on the one hand, you have the kind of desire that you're trying to figure out. There's a lot of our life is spent doing that, right? Trying to figure out what we want, um, how to proceed in various aspects of our life, our career, our family, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And desires can be as simple as, for our next meal, something as complicated as, how to direct our entire life path. And it's basically good to introspect, to experiment, to attempt via various means, including therapy, artistic expression, to get in touch with our feelings, to incorporate the different voices within us and to synthesize them into something which really reflects their full richness and complexity, right? All of these things are about becoming more honest with ourselves, and that will lead us to richer, more fulfilling lives, as well as getting closer to the spiritual. It will quiet the mind, and that will allow us ultimately to engage in the spiritual. So this is all true, and I recommend it in other videos and in my books, that we get in touch with our emotions and we become honest about what we want, even if, especially if those are things that we've been taught that we quote unquote shouldn't want by family and society and stuff like that. I mean, I'm not saying go off and do anything criminal, but there are many things which are really not necessarily harmful, but that we feel ashamed about wanting. So anyway, there's an entire category of desire that's sort of like in that range, that kind of wrangling with desire, right? But then all of that sits on something which is deeper from the spiritual standpoint, which is that we all actually just have, in a sense, a singular desire. And that singular desire is to just be. No expectations, no labels, no narrative, right? No story that's constantly telling us what's happening. That we're doing this, we're going this way, we've been there, and we're gonna go there next. That whole structure. If it arises, we want it to arise, as it were, inadvertently or accidentally. We want it to arise in the space of creative play. Because if you look at kids, when they are in that space of creative play, the labels that they might attach to themselves are fleeting and ephemeral, Kid might be a doctor 1 minute and then might be an astronaut the next, right? There's no claws dug in permanence to the kinds of decisions and labels that are made. There's no burden of expectation. There's no pain of decision. And that comes from being oriented to our being, our true being, which is simply pure, stainless, and effortless. Although ironically, that recognition is attained through effort. It's attained through effort to engage in self-inquiry or in surrender, which is ignoring thoughts. It's engaged in through effort to associate with the company of the wise, to engage in the scriptures, and so on and so forth, right? To recognize the obvious, which is the simple truth of every moment, the constant truth of every moment. And our desire simply to be grounded in that at all times, letting go of all other burdens. And then all the thought, all the narrative, all the desire about do this or do that becomes a mere surface issue. Where in the depths, we're rooted in absolute lightness of being. And that is our real, our true, and our only singular desire.